Hello, this is going to be a build video on my Season 1 Barbarian, Frank. He's a Hammer of the Ancients, basically, Hammer of the Ancients build. Went through a few changes because I just couldn't find something I liked. I tried a bleed build, which was fine, but yeah, it was difficult to work with. To sort of a rend and rupture build, which was quite powerful. Like, you could build a lot of bleed quickly and then hit them with rupture and all of that health's gone, but didn't like that too much, so sort of gave up with that and moved on to another build with which was a whirlwind build. Just couldn't get the resource generation, and then I moved on to this, which is lunging strike, and mainly lunging strike, Hammer of the Ancients, with a load of shouts and ground stomp for stunning. Really simple, quite fun to run around in dungeons and use, because we've got rally and cry, which gives unstoppable, so if you get stunned or anything, just hold rally and cry back, sort of run in, use challenging shout or war cry, and if you get stunned, throw a rally and cry out and you're unstuck. But yeah, we'll start up top with the basic skills. So single point in lunging strike. This is just not for doing damage, although I do use it for damage occasionally. I'll just sit there and just lunging strike things until they die. It works, but it's slow. The main reason for lunging strike is the movement. So it seems to move, you sort of lunge a long way with it, so you can jump around effectively quite a lot. It's probably not as far as wherever it is, leap, down, not kick, not charge, leap. So it's probably not quite as far as leap, but it's getting close, which is kind of scary, really. So that's the basic skill, and then you just go combat for the extra, like 1.5 seconds of berserking. Could, if you wanted a more bleed build, you could use lunging strike with bleeding. But yeah, not really. I'm not really that interested in bleed anymore. I have got a skill that I have got an ability on a weapon that gives bleed, I think. I'm not entirely sure. Hammer of the Ancients, obviously, it's my main attack. So we go enhanced and then violent. Actually, don't know, I might change that back to furious. I kind of can't work out, because I did go for overpower damage at one point, like a really high overpower damage, because I was hitting overpowers every 5 attacks or something. But I preferred critical. Critical seemed a bit more doable. Pressure points make enemies vulnerable. You've kind of got to have that to start hitting bigger damage numbers. Endless fury, basic skills generate. Actually, I don't need that anymore. I could change that, because I don't use two-handed weapons with lunging strike, because I want the weapon swap. So that is actually going away. Now we've got to work out where to put 2 points. I do actually have 3 points available, because I haven't finished my renown in 2 areas so far. We'll shot one on ground stomp, we'll just max ground stomp out, and oh, I don't even have enhanced ground stomp. When I get that other point, I'll probably go tactical ground stomp just for the extra fury. So yeah, it's just Hammer of the Ancients and pressure points on the core skills. Moving down to defensive skills, ground stomp obviously purely for the stun. I've got a lot of extra damage to stunning enemies, so that just helps. 4-second stun gets you out of trouble if you really need it, although it does take quite a long time to see. 13-second cooldown seems to be forever, but the shouts are worse. So Rallying Cry, you don't need to max this out. Obviously ground stomp's got 3 points from items. Rallying Cry, it's just, yeah, extra fury generation and unstoppable is brilliant. Then there's Challenging Shout, which Challenging Shout's good for when you start to run out of life, if you against a large amount of enemies or a boss and you're just not surviving. Throw that out with a couple of potions and you can sort of really fill up your health bar again. And then that we go to tactical. 3 fury every time you take damage, so yeah, when you're surrounded by a lot of mobs and really taking some damage, you can heal up with it with the extra 20% life. And yeah, gain a ton of fury. Right, so down in brawling skills we got Warcry. This is sort of do this shout as soon as you get into like combat you know is going to be tough, whether it's a couple of elites or yeah, a boss. Throw that out first, then you move on to Challenging Shout, and then if you do get stunned, keep your Rallying Cry. But they are all 25-second cooldowns, which really sucks. But yeah, what can you do about it? You just have to live with it. Swiftness, faster movement. You just have to have faster movement. You don't need to worry about quick impulses because you've got I can never remember what it's called, Rallying Cry. So your control impairing effects aren't that worrying. Booming voice, increase the duration of shouts. You'll be using a lot of shouts here, so must have that. Could have that, but also heals allies. It's not really, unless you're running as a group, it's not worth it. And yeah, 4% less damage for 5 seconds is nothing, so what's the point? Then we've got aggressive resistance. We've only got that to get to prolific fury. Yeah, throw a shout down, start doing damage, and you gain even more fury, which is great. I can do 3 to 4 lunging strikes and then have a Hammer of the Ancients ready, which is really useful. Pit Fighter, close enemies. We've got to do more damage to close enemies. And the damage to fortify helps massively. just because we are fortifying a lot to survive. So if you watch any of my videos, you'll just see my health go solid red pretty much within a second or two of fighting, because I just need to generate huge amounts of fortify. Defensive stance, just more damage reduction. It's a better damage reduction than that, because you can hold fortify. You can sustain fortify a lot longer than you can sustain berserking. And yeah, counter-offensive. When your fortify is over 50%, you deal 12% more damage, which is a good chunk more damage to deal. Ultimates. We have no ultimate, because just nothing really stood out to me as getting rid of a shout. They take too long to cool down, so I just didn't see the point. I mean, Wrath of the Berserker would be probably as a replacement for Rallying Cry, but the cooldown's over twice as long, so I just wouldn't take it over a shout, to be honest. But we do have heavy-handed, two-handed weapons increase. There's a good reason for that, and that's because Hammer of the Ancients, I use my bludgeoning weapon. Obviously, lunging strike, I've already said, I use that as dual wield because I want the weapon swap. So the weapon swap gives me, I can't actually remember. It might be overpower, but we'll look at that because that's something on the gear. More overpower when using two-handed, critical increase using two-handed, and bludgeoning weapons increase if they're stunned or vulnerable. So ground stomp and where was it? No, it was right. No, I can't remember. There's something I had. I can't. Where was that? Oh, it's pressure points. So core skills have 30% chance to make them vulnerable. So yeah, so wallop helps massively. And then down in your key passives, Unbridled Rage. Just because there's quite a lot of fury generation going on, so we can live with 135% increased damage, but double the fury cost. That's absolutely fine. I have no problems churning out Hammer of the Ancients. So that's my abilities. Paragon points. I am short 8 Paragon points at the moment from Renown. Let's just have a look. Yeah, so 4 there, and there's my skill point. Getting close to it, I just can't be bothered. And then another 4 Paragon points. I've done those, so I'm not that far out, but it would help. I could probably be getting close to that cliff. But yeah, we're moving around. We're just avoiding that. I don't realistically need the armor or the maximum life. It would be nice. I might go to it eventually. Sort of coming down willpower. Yeah, I could go up that way, but this way you get more magic nodes. Yeah, and then critical strike damage and skills that critically strike generate even more fury. Leveling this one up currently. What is it? Level 10, so 15. I will start to look at getting more dexterity for more critical strike. I don't think there's a huge amount more. That one, that's it. So that's just a boost in critical strike damage. Haven't missed any, have I? No, that's good. But yeah, then coming up, I can't remember what square this was when I set it up, but it's the one that's more two-handed weapon, bludgeoning based. So we're just literally beelining for rare nodes and the legendary node. See, overpowers. It's not really, because I don't do huge amounts of overpower damage now. It's not that, I don't worry about it that much, but yeah, just go for the legendary node. Bulwark, and we definitely try and like get the bonuses on every single one. Bludgeoner, 20% damage with two-handed bludgeoning weapons and 30% overpower. 20% damage while fortified. It's literally all damage. Like, maximum life. Yeah, you might as well go for it. It's not that necessary. Yeah, then we're going to go for these 60% overpower. And might do that just for the strength. Not that interested in the strength. Well, not that interested in the damage reduction, but 10 more strength's always helpful. Don't know what glyph I'd put in that socket yet. I haven't looked at it. I'm not close enough to it to worry about it yet. But yeah, once I've worked out what's going in there, I'll look at which of these I need for. Grants 25% to all magic nodes. No, it's not really that interesting. 5% increased critical strike against bleeding enemies. No. No. By wielding an axe. I don't wield an axe. Wielding a mace. That was one that I was looking at. I don't know whether mace means both one-handed and two-handed mace, or whether it's just a one-handed mace. Because if it's just a one-handed mace, I'm not that interested in it. If it's one and two-handed mace, great. I'll probably go for that. Bleeding, no. Willpower. Overpower damage, possibly. If I get that weapon legendary effect that gives me more overpower chance, then, or a guaranteed overpower after so many weapon switches or something like that, that might be worth. Or after not overpowering for 30 seconds, you get a guaranteed. The problem is that's only guaranteed on usually your lunging strike, because you're not going to have enough fury straight away to smash a Hammer of the Ancients out. So it might not be as good as it sounds. Wielding a polearm. Increase to vulnerables. That might be alright. I can probably find quite a lot of dexterity around. Yeah, there's a good amount of dexterity around it, so maybe that's I've lost it now. Yeah, there we go. When an enemy is damaged, they become vulnerable for 3 seconds. Okay. So you make them vulnerable anyway, if you hit the bonus, which would be really easy. That sounds... That's a top runner for Locklift to go in. Damage while healthy. Damage while berserking. Nah. I'm yeah, not going to keep going around that because that'll take me forever. But yeah, definitely that dexterity for damage against vulnerable enemies is probably quite handy. Right, into my gear. So we've got blue gems everywhere, and obviously we'll look at them in a bit. While you have a barrier active, I don't even care. That is purely because of basic attack speed. So I just want really high basic attack speed, get that lunging strike out more, and life on kill's nice as well. I will probably re-roll barrier generation if I keep this for much longer, if I don't find anything to replace it with. This legendary imprinted skill, yeah, I don't know when I have a barrier up very often. I don't think fortified classes as a barrier. I just haven't looked into it enough. Move down my chest piece. 3 ranks of ground stomp. Great. Intelligence is maxed out. I might try and re-roll that for strength if I keep it for a longer time. I do plan on doing, is it Fallen Temple? Whatever the capstone dungeon is for tier 4. I do plan on doing that soon, so Ancestral Armour is going to be the next thing. So these might never ever get sort of re-rolled for anything because I don't plan on keeping them very often if I can help it. Or don't plan on keeping them for very long if I can help it. Gloves, lucky hit chance. Yeah. More attack speed. Strength. 3 ranks of Hammer of the Ancients. I'd like the 4 ranks, but 3 will do. That imprinted skill, when there are at least 5 close enemies, stun them, is really nice. Because you can just dash. Just like dash into a group of them or use lunging strike to get into a group. They all stun immediately. And you can just wail on them from there and they're not damaging you. 3 ranks of Warcry, fine, not that worried. Berserk duration, the more you're berserking the more damage you're doing. Total armour is okay. Life regeneration and not damage, that's just handy for preparing for a boss or something like that. You can just stand around for a few seconds. And the heal for life per second for each close enemy. Obviously it only takes 4 close enemies to be healing 100 and what's that, 160, 170, yeah, 4 enemies and I'm healing for the maximum amount of life I can without even using a potion. And obviously with the gems, damage reduction while fortified, you spend all your time fortified. So yeah, we heal and we don't take much damage. Well, that's the idea anyway. Max evade chance, it's a must on your boots. Fortified generation, yes please. It's quite a low roll but great. Dodge chance, I re-rolled that a couple of times and never got anything good out of it, so I kept dodge chance. Shrine buff duration, that's a bit. I had 2, the dodge chance and shrine buff duration. I can't remember what was on this before dodge chance, but both of them were like, I don't know which one to reroll. Dexterity is nice. 13% increase lucky hit chance while all damage and bonus from walking arsenal. I don't use walking arsenal, so it's an unused. Yeah, I need to find something to replace that. So there is a lot that could change in this build. Like, if the right legendary sort of effects come along, I could quite easily imprint a few things and re-roll a few things. Was that I was going to re-roll. Right, weapons. Two-handed bludgeoning mace. See, big overpower damage on that. Critical strike damage is a decent roll. Damage to stunned enemies. Yes, yes please. Ground stomp and then just do more damage. Low roll on overpowered damage, that's a bit of a disappointment for it being so low, but it's better than nothing. Basic skill damage, I'd probably re-roll the basic skill damage. Actually, I probably should do. Stunning a bleeding enemy, that's quite nice because I can... What have I got? There you go. So whenever you deal direct damage while berserking, inflict 50% of the base damage dealt as additional bleeding damage. So that combined with that is quite nice, because you can, if you hold berserking up for a while, if you time your shouts right, you can put a load of bleeding damage on a boss that you can then just ground stomp and it's gone. Which is nice. My dual wields, critical strike damage, damage to close enemies, damage to injured enemies, and there we go, the imprinted skill. After swapping weapons 10 times, your next attack will overpower and deal 50% or increased overpower damage. So yeah, weapon swap a lot, which we do because that's dual wield, and that is my two-handed mace. Yeah, you do weapon swap a lot because you tend to not like do multiple Hammer of the Ancients because you're not wanting to let that fury maximize. You're just, as soon as you've got enough fury for a hammer away. So you're not letting it build to maximum and then doing like opening up with two Hammer of the Ancients one after the other. That just don't do it like that. Overpowered damage on that, basic skill damage, critical strike damage, good roll on that, damage to stunned, good roll on that, core skill damage, core skills, Hammer of the Ancients, and then Hammer of the Ancients quakes outwards, which is great. Obviously blue gems in these, crowd control, so once they're stunned you're doing even more damage, and everything here stacks, which I found quite weird. Like, I do Hammer of the Ancients with my bludgeoning weapon and yet it still quakes, so I haven't used that weapon to do it. It sort of all stacks together, which is, I was quite surprised. I thought these skills would be unique to doing dual wield attacks like lunging strike, but no, they all stack, which is something to think about. Damage to healthy enemies 60%, which is fine. All stats, yes please. I will probably not get rid of this for a long time because 66 plus to all stats is probably gets me above on a couple of the things for my Paragon, so yeah, without that I wouldn't have that. I would have that. I'd have that one. Yeah, wouldn't have the willpower for that. Wouldn't, actually I would have the willpower for that, yeah, they're really low ones. But yeah, a couple of nodes in there that I wouldn't have without that. There you go. So there's 3 there minimum. Then what we got? Overpowered damage, pretty low roll. Critical strike damage, okay roll. Core skill damage, again, core skill damage for Hammer of the Ancients. And we've already talked about the imprinted 50% of base damage as bleeding damage over 5 seconds. So if you can ramp up your base damage, the more bleeding damage you do while berserking. And now we go on to our jewellery. Don't really pay much attention to my jewellery, but resistance, 25% damage with skills that swap to a new weapon. So every time I do Hammer of the Ancients, I do 25% more damage. Plus, when I then switch back to Lunging Strike, which is straight away, 25% damage with the first attack from that, which is cool. More berserking duration. Yes, yes please, give me all of that berserking duration because it helps. 4% to dexterity, fine. I just can't be bothered to pay to reroll that anymore. Damage reduction from close enemies, yeah, that's just nice. And basic skills gain 35% attack speed. Yeah, that's just increasing with the speed that I can Lunging Strike. You can bounce around all over the place with Lunging Strike, and just increasing the speed increases your overall movement, and yeah, you can bounce around all over the place. And we got the ring, earthquake loop, cold and fire resistance, whatever. Critical strike chance, yes. Maximum fury, that could re-roll. Not worried about maximum fury. We just know we're generating a lot of it all of the time. Critical strike damage, you got to have that if you want to have higher critical strike chance. Damage to close enemies is cool. Ground stomp creates an earthquake. Hang on. Oh no, Hammer of the Ancient creates an earthquake. Yeah, so ground stomp's earthquaking as well, and you deal increased damage while standing in it, which is nice. Then we got Mother's Embrace, quite a good one of these. So 21 all stats maxed, lucky hit chance, critical strike damage, and a decent overpower damage. If a core skill hits, which Hammer of the Ancients almost always does, it's nice. Then the hearts, obviously use a barber's heart, I think it's a barber, just because when that explodes it's crazy. Devious heart, deal fire damage to surrounding enemies whenever a crowd. It was the best one I had. If there's something else better than that, I will probably change to it as soon as I get one. And a vicious heart, that's quite nice. Critical electrically charges. And yeah, so that's basically my build. It's really fun. I do like it, with the bonus of the attack speed, running around, just bouncing from enemy to enemy with Lunging Strike, and then unleashing a couple of Hammer of the Ancients here and there. Does a lot of damage quickly, and yeah, the increased mobility that lunging strike gives you is really nice. So anyway, that's my build. Hello. Oh, good timing really. Yeah, that's my build. Glad I got that all done before the connection dropped. That might be just because I didn't move for a while. Is it going to let me reconnect? I like that armour. I need to just finish the seasonal to get the helmet. The awoken helmet. Must be getting close to it now. Nearly there, look. Obviously, for that, I just want level up, more skill points. More Paragon points is great. So just really, yeah, then I'll probably move it into more materials once I'm like level 100. If I ever reach that by the end of the thing, which I should. Yeah, I'll put it in that. Any more I'll get. Probably that. But I don't know. That doesn't really matter. It's not a massive effect on how you play. And I've still got to finish these. I'm in no hurry. We've got plenty of time left to finish the season. My cats are bouncing up and down the stairs now. But yeah, that's my build. Like all of the seasonal extra stuff, apart from the clipping on that sword going through my mace that looks like a hammer. Oh, and the other mace clips through the axe, which makes that look a little bit rubbish. Whatever. Blizzard are good at making things clip. Anyway, thanks for watching. Give me a like and subscribe if you can. Trying to grow a tiny little channel. 18 subscribers at the moment. So yeah, give me that subscription. If you never watch my videos again, I don't care. Just give me a subscription. It would help me out massively. Yeah, and I'll see you next time. Cheers. Bye.